All right, today is another opportunity for another tangle. So this one, as you can see, is small. It's maybe 2 by 2. I think so. And notice I did watercolor and then gold. I just put some gold highlights. This was from my last tutorial, and so was this. This one today, you can see, is Nzeppel that I want to do, and I think I'm going to do it all over this. It's going to be a mono tangle, which means one tangle pattern on the whole thing. I may divert, but that's what I'm looking at. The traditional way to do this is to do a regular grid pattern, like you would, and then go across, and then bisect, and then bisect. And that's a nice way to do it. And then with Nzeppel, what you would do, and I'll show you here, is you would get as close as you can to each corner without actually doing it, and you just create these little bubbles within as close as you can to the corners, okay? And then what you end up with is it's a very interesting end result. The other thing you can do is random, and then do the same thing with putting those little bubbles in those spaces in between. And it is going to be random because it's different sizes. I think I'm feeling this way today, not this way. So, and I don't know how it's going to show up. A little black on this. I don't know how that happened, but it will just be part of the whole scene, I guess. So if I do that, I'm not going to put my dots in the corners. I'm not going to do my border because this is such a small tile to begin with, as you can see. So I'm just going to go for it. It may end up that I'll do something else in the corners, but right now, the Nzeppel is what I'm looking at doing. Not this one, but I'm thinking of doing this one. I'm working with an 08, so it's a larger size. And because I did watercolor, you can see it's not flat, so that may affect things a little bit. Sometimes if you do watercolor, you know, the best thing to do is put a heavy book or something over it, you know, to kind of flatten it out for a while. Apparently I didn't do that. So I have the choice of 2 of them. This one's a little purplish, and this blue, I'm going to do the blue one. So again, it's going to be random. If I do it too quick, I don't know. I think even though it's random, I should slow down when I'm doing it. But you can see, even when I did it really quick without thinking too much about it, I still end up, can you see, with being able to do my bubbles in there, my little soap bubbles. So I'm a little nervous. I don't know why. Okay, so as I go randomly, trying not to press too hard, and realize the goal. And I can turn this too. If I come off like I did, is to get as many spots for my bubbles. I just went off it again, so I could pick up where I left off, or even pick up here. Kind of liking this. And I might, even though I'm doing it, I may add some little spots out of character that had nothing to do with the original. Alright, so I created quite the spaces, and if, like I said, if I want to make things smaller, I can still do that. I can still go over a line and change it around any way I want. But I'm going to go with the randomness of it and start putting in my little soap bubbles And the key to that, and I will tell you I do this too quickly, so this is something I'm going to slow myself down. If you do it too fast, you don't end up with the corners being nice and open. You end up with, like if I did this too fast, okay, I don't want all that space there, here. So if I do it too fast, I'm going to not be happy with the end result. So it's about slowing down and taking the time to do these bubbles in ways that leave little corners in there. Okay, so I'm going to just randomly start doing my bubbles. And remember, because I have different spaces, I'm going to have to be very deliberate. Some of them are going to be bigger than others, like this one is going to be a big one. And I want to get as close as I can to each of those corners. And I'm going to just jump out. I'm not going to do it all in one space, just because that's my personality. But you can certainly do it in one space. But I am so aware that I need to slow down when I do this, because I've done this many, and this is a very simple tangle. But if you rush, like anything else, it will not be the desired effect that you will want. Now, this is interesting because it's got all that gold in it. So far you can see how I have my little soap bubbles, as I like to call them. And I'm just filling in the spaces. This is going to be another big one right here. So again, taking my time. That came out pretty good. So it's all about just filling in these random spaces. And as you do, make sure you breathe, appreciate your work. And again, it may not be perfect, but as they say, there's no mistakes in Zentangle, because it is in the moment of when you are producing and who you are. It's your work of art at that very moment, which might be very different than what you would do in an hour. Or, oh, that one kind of wiggled on me a little, and that's okay. If you do have an uneven palette in front of you, or card, or tangle tile, or maybe you're doing it on paper, maybe you're doing it on something like this. This is what I've been making for, well, I won't say what I'm making it for, but I put quotes on here, so I will use a glue stick and put my tiles on, and it just makes something nice, presentable. But wherever you're working, just again, take the time to slow down and take a breath. Remember, it's that Zen part of Zentangle that really is kind of a cool thing. And the other thing I love about Zentangle, little pieces of art. I mean, little pieces of art. You could take this to the doctor's office while you're waiting for an appointment. You could do this at your lunch hour. If you have an hour, I get 20 minutes. On a good day, I get 12. But sometimes I could do 1 minute of this. Just 1 minute if I have something ongoing. And I'll put it on my desk, and just before my students come back. And just that 1 minute can help focus me and settle me. So you're going to do the same thing. And remember, this is a lot of odd shapes. That's why I like this one. This one, if I did this one, it would be more equalized. This one is so random. And remember, turn your tile. So I was going to do this, and it was too far away. And here I am, just creating that little soap bubble. Now I turned it again, and here's another random space. And I'm going to turn it again. Oh, this is a bigger space, so I have to be careful to really fill it up, because what I do is not always what I should do. So I have to be very consistent. Take a breath, and look at how beautiful this is coming out. So before it had nothing, and now these little soap bubbles. Now this is a really tiny little space, but it's the same process. I don't know if you could see me doing it, but you're going to just wiggle around, and you want those corners kind of not filled in. Same thing with here. I'm going to start here, And I just want my little soap bubbles to leave those little corners. Now here's a big space. Can I change it? Yes, I can. I can just bisect that right there. And now I have a total different space for my little soap bubble to go into. And creating another little odd shape. My pen just did a little loop-de-loo, so sometimes that happens, and that's okay too. So this one I'm going to follow along the grid, the random grid, and notice the corners are kind of not done, which is on purpose. I'm just getting real close to them. So notice how this is coming together. I'm going to stop and fill the rest in, and we'll see what we're going to do then, if anything. Maybe this will be it. So keep filling in slowly. Take your breaths, fill in your patterns, and see where it takes you. So here I am busy filling in some more, and I know I took a break, but I found some spots that I really couldn't fit anything nicely. So what I did is I just filled those in black, and I could have probably tried to get something in there, but honestly, I might not be able to do it well, so I just filled in the black, and I'm thinking I might do that in other places, and I kind of like it. So I just wanted to give you that option too, as you're working around, if you're doing the more eccentric one, or if you're doing the more traditional. Either way, this you're going to have most of your spaces at uniform. This one you may end up with these little bizarre little spots that you can't do much with. And I would say maybe you would color that in, fill it in, and it makes a nice little contrast. I've completed it, and you can see it takes on a life of its own, and you can see where I added complementary little black corners, and I could do it, you know, let's say I say, I need something here, it's not well balanced. Well, I could just add another little corner and fill it in with black and balance it out. So this is where you have a lot of creativity. When it's a uniform pattern, you don't have as much leeway. When it's random like this and like this, you have a little more leeway. I kind of like the way it came out. If you look at it really carefully, you could see it almost looks like cellular. Lots of people like this. Nzeppel is one of the fan favorites, if I can say that, in the Zentangle world. Oh, I just found a little spot that I forgot about. And you may find those little spots. Now, this might be too small. I got it in there, but then the next one is too small, so I'm just going to fill that in with a little black. But there's little hidden things that are popping out that I didn't notice before. And that's okay. I'm going to balance it. There's no way I can fit anything in there. So I'm going to do that too. So here is Nzeppel. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, you could do the traditional grid and then cross and then cross and then put in your little soap bubbles, or you could do the random like I did. If you want to paint the back with watercolor, do that. Add some gold if you like, or not. Just make sure you flatten it out better than I did. And that's Nzeppel. And I'm going to put that on the back so I don't forget. Nzeppel. Nzeppel. And if I have my grid, just to show kind of what it is. And just to show. I kind of touch those corners without touching them. Leave a little space in between. Nzeppel. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Have fun with it. That's what all this is about. Relaxation, making sure you're breathing. I found another spot that I didn't notice. Right here. Such a tiny little spot. And make sure that you take the time to take care of yourself. Let's see, we did this in 15 minutes, maybe 20, 25. But again, you could do the randomization and start it, put it away, come back later. I mean, you could, oh, I just found another little spot. Woo! Whew, okay, I'm just going to color this one in because it's a tiny little space and I think it balances it out. I love it with the little, and right next to it is another little spot, which I'll leave. I love the little complementary black spots. Kind of balances it all out and gives some depth to it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'm going to upload this and try it. And then here's the beauty of this one. If I did the same thing, I would come out with a total different pattern. So even if I wanted to do like a quarter of the tile or half the tile with this and then something else, that would be good too. Enjoy.